With solid gameplay and an intense thriller story that harkens to horror greats like H.P. Lovecraft and Stephen King, Alan Wake is one of the best horror survival games ever made, and it also has one of the best game soundtracks ever made. My name is Jeremy, and I host Listening to the Movies on 101.7 CIVL Radio, or on www.civl.ca. I play classic hits from great film soundtracks, and like last week, I also play great game soundtracks. Alan Wake is one game I wanted to tackle as soon as I got my show started. Not only for the awesome soundtrack that features Roy Orbison, Poe, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Poets of the Fall and more, but also because the game's story was quite complex as well as interesting to unfold. Alan Wake, however, is not without its controversial problems. Announced as a launch title for the Xbox 360 back in 2005, it actually took 5 whole years for the game to be finally released. One issue was the fact that the Remedy Entertainment team, the same team that made the first 2 Max Payne games, consisted of only 60 employees, as well as scrapping the original idea and look of the game, which was to be a sandbox game. In the end, these changes did work for the better, but it's still interesting as how they never ran out of money or just stopped working in those 5 years. Either way, the game they finally produced was a blockbuster hit with fantastic visuals and great gameplay. The story follows the writer Alan Wake, who has come to Bright Falls with his wife to get a break from the city and to write his new manuscript. But suddenly his wife disappears and a massive darkness clouds over the town and consumes most of the townspeople. Alan is forced to fight for his life to uncover the source of the darkness and to save his wife. Considering the amount of information about this game as well as the many different theories, I had a content specialist on the show to help me filter through the what ifs and the maybes. The darkness was a creation by a man wishing to resurrect his dead wife. That man was Thomas Zane. This plan obviously goes bad, and he and his dead wife are consumed by the darkness. 50 years later, when the darkness gets a hold of Alan and his wife, it forces him to write the darkness out of the story so it can leave Bright Falls and consume the world. Being a skillful writer, however, Alan is able to write himself a path towards defeating the darkness and saving his wife in exchange for his own life. There are many references to authors and shows in Alan Wake. Lots of Stephen King references like Axe and the Doors, as well as character references to the David Lynch show called Twin Peaks. There are a lot of homages in this game, and unlike others, they don't rip off their original material, but show how they have influenced not only the team, but the world's view of paranoia and horror. I mentioned before that the gameplay is solid. This is completely true. The game mechanics have you dual-wielding a flashlight to break the darkness shield around the enemies, for which you then blast them with a small array of weapons. This keeps the game simple and intense. However, the one problem to be had with this mechanic is that it is outdated. Mainly because this game took so long in development time, the mechanics feel years older than they should. This is more of a nitpick than an actual complaint, but I feel as though the game would have truly fit in our world if it had been released before 2010. This in turn is my argument for what you should do with this game. Only 2 years old, the game is still fresh and very entertaining to play. It has a great story and some awesome moments. But since it is a strictly single-player game that follows a strict story, I unfortunately tend to stray away from buying these kind of games. Mainly because you can beat them in a week, and you really have to like the game to want to play it again. While that may be, I still highly suggest you rent this game or borrow it from a friend, or if you really like it, buy the game. It's probably only 25 bucks now. If you want to hear the show, which goes into more depth about the origins of the darkness, as well as other facts about the game, click on the link in the description for the show. If you want to see the other videos, click here. Finally, if you like what you see here and you wish to see more, click here to subscribe. If you want to catch the show live, click on the second link in the description at 8 p.m. Pacific Time. Thanks for watching.